Diamonds on my neck. I like more than jets, I like more than sex. But nothing in this world that I like more than checks. All I really wanna see is money. I don't really need to be anything.
Black Hammer is live, y'all.
I got bands in the coop. Diamonds on my neck. I got bands in the coop. Touch my house.
And the post is on. Black Power, Karina. I fucked this up somehow. Do you see it? Do you see how it's... No? Pop. That's some definitely bubble. I guess I'm... Over here I'm on the side, but whatever. Alright, Black Power, y'all. We gonna get into it. So, welcome to, I believe, the 4th episode of Proper-gander. I'm your host, Comrade Rob. Proper-gander is a web series presented to you by the Black Hammer Organization, a revolutionary organization dedicated to the liberation of African and colonized people. That means decolonization and socialism on the road to communism. Yeah, this episode is on the movie Hustlers, produced and starring J-Lo. But before I get into that, I want to present a self-criticism to y'all. I know that I have not been doing Proper-gander as consistently as I had originally wanted to be. That is due to my responsibilities in Black Hammer, because we're not talking about no bullshit. We are actually doing bullshit. And that involves a lot of work, and that I need to take up responsibility of and get that work done, because we really about that action. We not about that talking. But here I am. I finally got around to doing a little something. Me and Gigi went to the fucking movies and saw Hustlers, just because, you know what I'm saying, our girl Cardi B's in there, and it had to do with sex workers, and we know that sex workers are a marginalized and often looked down upon group in African and other colonized nations. They're the subject of a lot of violence and a lot of social ostracization, or just not socially acceptable. And to our disappointment, this movie didn't really hit the nail on the head with those issues, but it did talk about a lot of things. It's like strangely more political than like some political movies, which is funny because people will probably just watch this as like some sort of crime, not even really drama, like a crime series, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's interesting in that regard. It's like around the periphery of hitting the nail on the head with the issues that sex workers go through, but they don't get to the root of the contradiction, and that's what I'm here for. We want to examine this through a critical lens. Proper-gander is an anti-colonial, anti-capitalist, and anti-imperialist. It's a anti-imperialist lens to look at media through, and I mean all media is manga, anime, all that. We're looking all that through a revolutionary lens, so we can spot the imperialist BS that we're always fed. So yeah, I guess I'm gonna just sum up what happens in the movie. In Hustlers. Oh, yo, spoilers. If you're not trying to be spoiled, y'all might as well dip right now. So, Hustlers is about, I don't even know the main characters' names, but it's like based on a true story. But the actress Constance Wu, she's a Asian actress, plays the main character. Constance Wu is brought into the world of pole dancing or stripping, whatever you want to call it. And she's facing difficulties she like they don't really talk about it in the movie, but like white men will call her like Lucy Liu and shit like that. Like they fetishize this woman, but like they just completely ignore that. Bottom line, she's not a good stripper. And then she sees J-Lo. J-Lo is like the top stripper. She's like the best fucking stripper. And she honestly, J-Lo does a good job in acting in this movie. Like, you believe that she's that bitch. She's the bottom. She's like the motherfucking top bitch. She's in charge. She's like she's helping all the other women in there get in line, like deal with like a lot of like personal issues, and you really feel that through her acting. So Constance looks up to J-Lo, and they begin a friendship that eventually leads them to start. Well, it was awesome for a while. Like they made a whole bunch of money stripping, but what happened was the 2008 economic crisis happened, which is again like that's like political. It's weird that they brought that up, but they did. And when the 2008 political crisis happened, since their clients were Wall Street bankers, they didn't see enough of their clients, so they had to go through other means to make resources. So J-Lo's character brings to Constance Wu that they start like drugging men, etc., and pretty much like once they're drugged, they start like running their credit cards and shit like that. And it got to the point where it's like a whole like crime ring, and they're like setting up these victims, if you want to call them victims, if you want to call white men victims. They kind of like push that in there, but I don't fucking see them as victims. They get drugged and they steal like $50,000 like at a time, and they set them up in so many different ways, and you see that happen. Obviously, that kind of gets out of hand. They eventually have to like take someone to the hospital and shit like that. It gets really crazy, and pretty much Constance Wu and J-Lo split. They don't fuck with each other anymore because like the police got involved, and it's all that relationship is like too risky, and like Constance Wu is trying to be like a mom and shit like that. But yeah, that's the general summary of what happens. It's supposed to be like based on a true story. Obviously, they're gonna take liberties with these kind of stories. We don't know where truth begins and fiction begins. You know what I mean? Exactly. But you can kind of like guess if you had like seen the movie. But yeah, that's the outline. And upon seeing it, I was like, this is cool. It's like a bunch of colonized women like owning their sexuality. You know what I'm saying? I'm here for that. You know what I mean? And like, first of all, like I'm a dude. You know what I'm saying? I get it. Like, there's some times where I have to like stay in my lane or whatever. So I want to just say that this is obviously from my perspective, from my you could say limited perspective as a male. I don't know what it's like to be a sex worker, but I have read a lot of revolutionary theory. I've read a lot of feminist theory and stuff like that. A lot of that I don't unite with, but one thing that is clear, I'm not against sex workers at all. I understand their plight, and from the bottom of my heart, all I want to do is protect that sector of our nation, regardless of what you do, sis. Like, get your fucking coin. I'm down for it. I just want you safe. Just getting that out there. So with that in mind, I came into the movie hoping that it would be empowering, but the reality of the movie is that it kind of totes a petty boo mainstream feminist line. It's pretty much saying like, oh, women can sexualize or weaponize their sexuality to be criminals, just like men can be like toxic masculine and be like gangsters and like shoot people up and do all that gangster shit. It's like the quote unquote quote unquote female empowerment version of that. Generally, that's just a general sum up. There's a lot of ways in which this manifests. So as you watch the movie, you'll see that like they dead ass like look down upon like a lot of sex workers, and that's not cool. Like you would think that there's some sort of empathy or understanding that you may be in a vulnerable place, that you may have to do that, or just mind your fucking business. Like if that's something that somebody want to do, but that's not the attitude they have. Like there's still people in there when they look at like they kind of make a differentiation between like a prostitute and like a stripper or whatever. Which obviously there is some differences. I'm not saying there is like in terms of the labor, but there doesn't have to be this like downplaying shit. Like they're like, oh, she's out here giving BJs for this amount of money. Oh, what a bitch, blah blah blah. It's a lot of shit like that, and I'm just like, man, y'all just came from this kind of perspective where like we need fucking money. Like that's just the fucking truth. Like how can you victimize this woman for using that? You know what I'm saying? For going that avenue when she's just trying to survive, just like you. So when that kind of happens, like obviously there's like some sort of disconnect politically. Another way that you could tell that it's kind of like petty boo mainstream feminists is like they'll say things like, oh, hurt people just hurt people. Like that's a direct quote from Constance Wu, and she's referring to what she had did, how like she drugged men and like used their cards and shit like that. But y'all just like with Constance Wu, like y'all just seen how she came from a background of poverty. How she's using that avenue to come out of the background of poverty. So like they kind of took this line of like, oh, she should have just had a better role model. She should have been a better parent, or like she should have had a better parent, and she wouldn't have ended up on the pole. And that's just not a good analysis of the reality of sex work, particularly pole dancing. One example that kind of encompasses this, and it's a good example of correct politics, is that they show when the women who are pole dancers, when the economic crisis happens, they have to get regular jobs, and the parallel of having a regular job, of being an Old Navy and being a stripper. Like it goes to show that it's the same fucking bullshit. Like you are still dominated by some fucking capitalists. Like in one job in Old Navy, you're straight up demeaned. You're demeaned by that work. Like you have to ask this like dumbass white man to like have off so you can fend for your child. That's completely demeaning. It's because we don't have that power to be like, man, fuck what you say, like I'm gonna go handle mine. We don't have that power. So it's demeaning to have to ask this fucking white man, this fucking capitalist, for time off so you can fend for your child. Parallel to that, in the strip club sense, like in that worker environment, you still had that contradiction, but I guess what the movie's saying, like because you're using your sexuality, because like you're empowering yourself with your sexuality, it's kind of better. But the drawing the parallel line between those two things is kind of correct in that movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all let me know if I'm making sense. I want to see the comments. Ooh. Just kidding. Okay, yeah, I don't even know how to see the comments. Beep. Okay, Gigi's gonna help me out with that. But yeah, all that shit is the same. They want to blame the individual and their choices because that's how capitalists work. They work on they work on an individualistic basis. They don't understand that like the individual is a product of the environment, and the environment is a toxic capitalist environment. So you gonna do whatever it is you need to do to get that bread to feed your child. But instead, they'll like zoom into the TV, you know what I'm saying? And they'll be like Kim Kardashian on the TV. They think they're slick with that bullshit, but I notice it. They show Kim K on the TV for a split second, and the significance of that scene is that those are the role models that women are supposed to have. That is supposed to make them make bad choices and shit like that, which I guess is true to a certain extent, but it ignores the core contradiction of capitalism and colonialism. Because you're only in the bad state of the capitalist structure because you're a colonized subject, because you had your land stolen from you, because you come from a land that was wrecked by imperialism. And that's kind of evident in this movie. Like it's J-Lo, Constance Wu, Keke Palmer, Cardi, Lizzo, all these colonized women, you know what I'm saying, as strippers. It's like one fucking white bitch in there, and her character's dumb as fuck. She like stays thrown up. You know, so like that's reflective of really what they think of us as like they're these like over sexualized beings and shit like that. But it's supposed to be empowering because they're doing like gangster shit, like drugging people. Yeah, it's like slick shit like that. There's like Blue Lives Matter flags, and things of that nature, like in the background, and it's like completely unnecessary, but it's still there for some reason. So it's obviously like a hint of where the political mind of these people are when they're making this fucking movie that's supposed to be empowering in a way. And that's like the era of the white feminist line, like the mainstream feminist line. They're like that they want their sexuality to be they want freedom in their sexuality. They want to have sex with whoever the fuck they want and not be called sluts and hoes and shit like that. Which, like, yeah, I get it. Like, that's valid or whatever. But it stops there. For colonized women, you know what I'm saying? Like, they've been experimented on. All, like, gynecology is a brutal fucking, or was a, came about as a brutal torturing shit to come up with the science of, the health of a woman's vagina. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where gynecology comes from. Brutal experiments. Where does birth control come from? Experiments on Puerto Rican women that they involuntarily did. They injected them with all these kind of research chemicals that they had no idea what they're gonna do, so the white woman can have birth control. So that is our issue as colonized people. You know what I'm saying? And I'm a man or whatever, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm in complete solidarity with my sisters, and I understand that their plight is different than a white woman's. So this movie is still toting that like pussy hat fucking line, bro. Like pussy hat feminist line. It's interesting. It's interesting to see it like kind of be political, but not really. I can sum it up this way. Like, Constance Wu, the main character, who's trying to make it big with like stripping and all that. She's kind of shown as like somebody who's like kind of innocent and just wants to like feed for her daughter and take care of her grandma. You know what I'm saying? But she was led astray and she became a stripper. Poor her. When J-Lo's character, she's in control. She's that bitch. Like, she's fucking awesome in that movie. But she's the one who's like, she literally says like, man, I don't give a fuck about no Wall Street motherfucker. Like, fuck them. Like, I'ma drug them and take all their shit. And I'm like, okay, comrade J-Lo, let's get it. Fuck them. because it's true. Like, they even talk about how, like, even when the economy crashed and it's them crackers' fault, oh damn, and it's the Wall Street people's fault, they didn't go to jail. They didn't go to jail. Like, and J-Lo's character knows this. So really, they try to make it seem like Constance Wu's character is led astray by J-Lo's character, who J-Lo has like a kind of class consciousness going on. She has a politic of wealth distribution, which is a socialist politic. What that reminds me of is in Black Panther, how Killmonger had like a revolutionary Pan-Africanist politic, and he was bad. So J-Lo had a kind of socialist politics, so she's bad. She's leading Constance Wu astray. She's the reason why she's drugging all these white men and making all this money and being like real gangster in the hood and all that shit. She's like a demagogue. So yeah, I've been talking for a while. I think that's like the general footnotes of the movie, but I'm really interested in seeing the comments. You got any comments, Gigi? No comments, y'all? Damn. Did y'all see the movie? I can wait.
There's a delay, so
I can like kind of touch on something different too. Like, there's this part where they are demeaning sex workers, where like they just happen to be Russian sex workers. It's like really strange to just throw that in. They're like, man, these Russian bitches just giving anybody a BJ for like $300 a pop, blah blah blah. And I'm just like, damn, y'all really had to do the Russians like that, bro? Y'all stay fucking with the Russians. It's always the Russians. Same thing on Stranger Things. If you didn't catch that, look at the last episode of Proper-gander. We talk about how America is scapegoating Russia, talking about like kind of like gearing the populace for war, and they just slid that shit in there, even in a movie about just strippers making some coin. They think they slick, but they not. They really not. To solidify, look, if you think that I'm bullshitting, that J-Lo had like a kind of socialist consciousness in this movie. This is a quote from J-Lo in this movie. This whole country is a strip club. Few have the money, and we all do the dance. Tell me nah. Tell me nah. That's right on point. That's right on point. She's speaking to the capitalist class having the money, and we are just turning tricks for them. Whatever the fuck they want us to do for colonized women, for like their perceived value is their bodies and sex. So they turn that into a hustle. With other people, whatever it may be some they use your body, your strength, like athletes. Whoever got the money, you gonna do the shit for them. And she spoke to that contradiction straight up. And they like kind of make her seem like this bad person. That the actual person that J-Lo's like based off, like in real life, actually came out and said, fuck that movie. Like, y'all owe me money. Shit, she better get it. But yeah, y'all. Bottom line, this movie is faux empowerment for colonized women. This may seem more empowering for a white woman, but it does not speak to the contradictions facing colonized women, bottom line. And it poses solutions to the problems of capitalism, but it's like, oh, get a better mom, or oh, don't look at Kim Kardashian and shit like that. It's like bullshit. Go to school. Yeah, exactly. Like it's that kind of classist bullshit.
Or relationships, they always have them with.
Yeah, they're always dependent on men. They're always dependent on men too. That's like a thing. Like they're also like distinctly like, oh, a mom is the most important shit that you could be. And don't get me wrong, I love mothers, you know what I'm saying? And I have the utmost respect for mothers, but I also know that women are just more than mothers, bruh. That's just what it is. And that like white feminist line puts you in that box. They can't get out of there. Talk about Cardi's scandal drugging men. Damn.
You don't remember that?
I do remember that. A lot of people talk about like how this movie's pretty much like they say it's like Cardi's biopic because of her scandal with drugging men and shit. But it's the same fucking issue. Cardi did that because she ain't had no fucking money. It's the same reason you might hit a lick. It's the same fucking reason, because our communities were destroyed by white power. Our economic development was uprooted by white power. And then you turn left and right, you ain't got nothing to do. You know what else was put in there by white power? Drugs. The drug economy. And that's the only viable way for you to make money. So that's how white power works. It takes all of the legitimate shit that you could be doing to actually like build up your community, whatever that may fucking be. Even if in your community it may be fucking sex work, that's up to y'all. But the point is that the avenues aren't there. The avenues aren't there. White power destroys them all, gives you no other option, and then blames you for taking the option of hitting a lick or becoming a stripper. It condemns you. And this movie doesn't speak to that. That's the issue I have with it. Also, it's not enough like badass like stripping scenes. It's only like one. J-Lo looks good for a 50-year-old, not gonna lie. But yeah, like there should be like more like fucking raw ass stripping scenes. Those are pretty much my issues with that movie. Anyone else? What y'all got for me? Talk to me, y'all.
Most of the people haven't seen the movie yet.
Okay, y'all ain't seen it. Alright, bet. I mean, if
1 to 10?
1 to 10, I'd give it like C, 7, something like that. It was still a fun movie. I was interested in like just like the characters, I guess. Like it's still like one of those, it's like a crime movie, just like flipped gender essentially. But yeah, it's not like nothing too crazy. Waiting on my cues.
Ask them what they want to see for Black Propaganda.
Yeah, y'all. So, y'all shoot me a message on Facebook. I'm Robert Quinones on Facebook. I'm always posting stuff on, or you could just send it to Black Hammer, like the Black Hammer page. Send me some recommendations to do Proper-gander. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I got another one coming up. It's about the TV show The Boys. That's a lot more up my alley. It's like superheroes and shit like that. Yeah, my comrades wanted me to do this, but I didn't, because I'm like a dude or whatever. Like I didn't want to speak on it without having like, you know what I'm saying, like that be my special oppression. But I did it. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up, comrades. Be on the lookout for another Proper-gander coming. We got a bunch of stuff going on. We got the Black Hammer Book Club. What's today? Saturday? Tomorrow morning we got the Black Hammer Book Club, most lit book club ever. I absolutely love it. Y'all should be getting the PDFs from us. They free. Y'all got no excuse. Shout out Comrade Dia, shout out Comrade Naya, and shout out Ghazi. He got his morning show, Oh My Ghazi morning show, like every other day. What's it called? 10 a.m. ish. You know what I'm saying? Summing up a whole bunch of like contemporary political education. He's really doing it. Like we're trying to make revolution accessible. Like we're not here writing like thesis statements that are like 6 pages long or whatever. We here talking to y'all. Also shout out Comrade Muhammadu with our campaigns every Friday, so y'all know what it is that we're doing besides like making awesome content for y'all to enjoy. We're on the ground, boots on the ground, feeding homeless people, cleaning up communities, fighting for liberation of black children. Gun club, you know what I'm saying? Fuck with us. Join at Black Hammer / sign up / sign dash up. That should be in the comments. If you can't sign up, if you're not committed to doing some work, please donate. I'm telling y'all, we can use the money to sustain our institutions because it all comes back to the people. It all comes back to the people. And yeah, I think that's it, y'all. So Black Power salute. Have a great rest of y'all day.